Welcome back, guys. Another episode of the Jock Talk Show. Matt, Brock, how we doing today, Brock?
Oh, great as always. How you doing?
Oh, we're hanging in there. We're hanging in there. So the game did not go quite as we planned, to say the least. I believe I had the
Yeah.
Packers winning, putting up 41 points. Last week was my prediction. It didn't quite happen. Part of it due to the
No.
weather, part of it due to them playing down to the level of the competition. And obviously, you got to give some credit to the Jags. They played really, really well on defense, minus two bad plays, one that busted coverage to MVS, and then a couple of others. So not quite the way we wanted to win, but a win is a win in the NFL.
Yeah, you take that any day of the week. But what we talked about last episode was I know I said is like special teams. We have been pretty bad on special teams, and then sure enough, there goes Keelan Cole right down the middle, and then leggy boy just
Yeah.
that was quite the embarrassing attempt for a tackle that I
Yeah.
have ever seen. I don't know about you, but I think we could have made that tackle.
He's got to take some
At
lessons
least
from
push him
Pat
out of
McAfee.
bounds.
Yeah.
At least push him out of bounds.
Protect the side. Just use the sideline as your friend. And he
Yeah,
just
that's another defender.
Yeah.
But I mean, we still won. Still 3 games up on the division now. So it's going to start hopefully everyone's going to start getting healthy now in the next couple weeks, and we actually have our full potential team out there. It's not because we got the Colts this week. Colts scare me a little bit. I don't know about you, but they scare me a little bit.
Yeah, the Colts are a good team. Offense, not very good.
They're young they're outside of Rivers and Ty. They're pretty young on the offensive end.
Yeah, I mean they don't score a lot of points, but they don't have to. They have probably the best defense in the NFL.
If not top 3.
No, I think it's on offense or passing the ball and running the ball. You know, they allow the second least passing yards and the third least rushing yards. So kind of worries me. On the bright side, like I said, their offense isn't dynamic. We've seen the Packers be able to bend but not break on the defensive side of the ball, outside of almost just that against Dalvin Cook and against the Buccaneers that whole game. But the Bucs were in good field position a lot of that game. So, the Colts have had a disappointing run offense so far.
It's a variation of people. It's between JT, Wilkins, Hines.
Yeah.
I mean, this team scares me. Like, what Packers have struggled on historically, and even this year, is the running backs out of the backfield. And as we've seen so far this year, a lot of the Colts' bigger plays come from Nyheim Hines out of the backfield or Wilkins out of the backfield.
Yep.
So it's going to be, we got to set the edge, win the trenches, and just keep everything inside. Don't let these speedy young backs get outside on you because, I mean, one, they're young, so they don't have like the wherewithal just to go right up the middle, and it's just get outside, use their speed to their advantage. I mean, and for the Packers, we don't have that sideline to sideline speed at linebacker that a lot of these linebackers are in the league now. But like I said, if Z, Preston, Rashawn can all at least set an edge and force everything in the middle, I think we'll be all right. But again, that O-line is probably one of the best in the league as well, led by Quentin Nelson. I know we're both ready to hand him his Hall of Fame jacket already.
Yeah.
He is a monster. So I mean, Kenny Clark's going to have to win that one-on-one matchup. Depending whoever is blocking him, he has to have a big game. He had one of his best games of the season last week. Might not show it on paper or in the film, but if you watch a little closer, he had probably one of his better games, and he just needs to build off that. Or even just a repeat of like last year. Like, he was pretty dormant for the first half of the season, and like the last quarter of the season, he just turned it on. So we need him to step up. I think it's if our D line keeps getting pushed back, they're just going to run it down our throat, and it could be a long game.
Yeah, so the Colts offense as a whole isn't one that makes a lot of big plays, but the running game, it's 2, 3, 4 yards a carry, then they'll pop a 10-yard carry.
Yeah.
You mentioned Quentin Nelson, and that entire offensive line is really good, both with run blocking, even though it doesn't show it through their running back stats, but they've only given up 8 sacks this year, which is something that obviously the Packers have struggled with outside of Za'Darius, a couple of big games. But something looking back from last week, I want to ask you, are we going to start seeing less and less of Preston Smith on the field with how, especially that last drive that Rashawn Gary had, or do you think they're going to find a way to get Rashawn Gary on the field at the same time as the Smith brothers?
It's tough to say because Gary's really having himself a pretty good season so far. I mean, it's not obviously your Pro Bowl caliber, but it is a very productive season coming off
per play on a per play basis at least.
Yeah, and pretty much coming off the bench and just making impact plays. I personally think he should start playing more than Preston Smith. I mean, Preston hasn't had a good season. He had a couple okay plays. He's over pursuing. He's not
the edge.
Exactly. Not setting the edge. Just I don't know what it is with him. He's just like compared to last year to this year, Preston's having probably
big and slow compared to last year.
Yeah, he doesn't look aggressive. He's more like, oh, just stop the run. That's all I'm here for. But then you have him guarding the pass on like as
lined up on the outside defending the pass.
So I don't know if it's lack of confidence from Pettin in him to just be like, you're not rushing anymore, or maybe they just need put Preston in at like D tackle. Just he's a quicker guy than a lot of D tackles, but maybe just throw him around like Za'Darius, the Za'Darius like formations. Just to give him a different like attacking points or something, because this same old straight ahead is not working for Preston Smith. He has no moves. He doesn't have the speed rush. He doesn't have the power moves. He just, he can get off the block, but 4 seconds later ain't that good. I mean, against Lutton, of course it's good because one, he's a rookie with limited snaps, but now you're facing Phillip Rivers. He's gonna get that ball out.
Yeah, you mentioned maybe the lack of confidence from Pettin, or it could just be Mike Pettin's incompetence as a whole. Not a big fan, but he's constantly lined up on the outsider in the slot guarding someone who is just going to roast him. And the fact that they don't have substitutions ready if the offense just calls an audible and switches formations. Or sometimes you'll see it where he's just automatically lined up in the slot guarding a short, shifty receiver or a tight end, and he's just can't do that. But
it's kind of like what we saw towards the end of Clay's career. It's like he's a pass rusher. Don't have him guard these slots.
You can't put Preston Smith on the same pedestal as Clay Matthews.
No, I meant at the end of Clay's career with the Packers is like they started having him guard those shifty guys. Like, you can't do that. Like, they're linebackers. Like, Clay wasn't good in pass coverage.
Speaking of pass coverage, though, switching the subject here a little bit. Beginning of the week, it looked like the Packers were going to be the healthiest they've been since week 2. Devontae Adams was limited in practice yesterday, which would have been Wednesday the 18th. We're recording this on Thursday. He did not practice today because of an ankle, whether if it was what he injured in the game last week or tweaked something in practice, we don't know. But Jair Alexander was a full participant in practice, which is big, obviously. Kamal Martin, you mentioned that we don't have that sideline to sideline speed. He does have it. We'll see. He's still a rookie. Obviously, he's not proven or anything, but he does have that sideline to sideline speed. And then Kevin King as well was a full participant in practice both today and yesterday. So, and then the Lizard King, Alan Lazard, full practice participant as well. So hopefully we'll have Tay, we'll have Lazard, we'll have our top 2 corners back. I think it's the perfect time. You know, it would have been nice to have them back last week and playing a little bit to get ramped up for such a big game. But I think this is going to be the first time the Packers have been almost completely healthy since the second half, I think, of the week 2 game. So that's something I'm excited to see.
Yeah, and it was with all these injuries, we did have a lot of players, especially in the secondary, step up, like Holman, and just to name one. But they proved themselves that they can handle the spotlight at times. Obviously, that one against the 49ers, that blown coverage to Richie James real late. But at that point, there was like D stringers in, and just we didn't even know who was out there. There's people running around that we've never seen before. So to get these guys back healthy is going to be, key. Obviously, we want Tay back. I could see that was just we limited Tay last week or yesterday in practice. Maybe today was just let's keep you off. We want you. We need you for Sunday. We need this one. Like this is probably outside of that Buccaneers game, which was a mess. This is probably the biggest test so far for our team as a whole, not just the defense. Our offense. We're going against a very good defensive line and linebacking core. You look at DeForest Buckner coming over from the 49ers. You got Justin Houston, and you got Darius Leonard. They got
Bobby Okereke.
You have, and then that secondary. The secondary is not great. That's probably the weakest part is their secondary, but they're young, they're aggressive, they fly over the field. But the one person that I am glad that is on that defense is
Xavier
Rhodes. Roads are always open, so we need Tay to go up against him. I think even Lazard could have a big game against him. He's
had a good season for the Colts so far. He hasn't given up big plays, but I think that's more due to his surroundings than him, and he hasn't gone up against Devontae Adams this year yet. So,
But if Aaron can get that young corners and the young safeties to bite on a little bit of stuff, or like just get him out of position. You know what they're gonna do. They're gonna shell coverage Tay probably. So Lazard, you can't double him, and then if you have MVS in that slot, this offense could put up points. We're the top, still the leading offense in the league, I believe, and
third, down to third, still averaging just under 31 points a game though.
But still, with all the injuries we've had on offense, to still put up around 30 points is really good for this team. But like I said, we got to win every stage of this game. The special teams has to play better. Defense has to play better. Offense has to play better. We played down, like you said earlier, we played down to the Jags level. If we play down to the Jags level against the Colts, this could be ugly, because this is a solid football team, and they will come prepared. Phillip Rivers is a veteran. We're not facing Lutton again. We're not facing no rookies or second-year quarterbacks. We're facing a veteran quarterback who will make you pay when you make mistakes.
Just a little bit of a bitter Matt moment here. You mentioned playing down to a level of the Jags will probably lose to the Colts. The Jaguars have one win this year. It came against the Indianapolis Colts in week 1. Guess who picked the Indianapolis Colts in the survivor pool in week 1?
That'd be you.
Yours truly.
And guess who's still alive in the survivor pool?
The Colts can go fuck themselves. Sorry, YouTube, I don't care.
I'm still in the survivor pool.
Yeah.
Road to 1 million.
That's right. So prediction time, Brock.
Yeah.
This game could go one of many ways. It could be like the Tampa Bay game. If the Packers get 2 turnovers and Indy's
Or,
in
if we start off as slow and shitty as possible as we did last game, just no energy at all. There was
none.
zero. So
Um,
we do not come up flat. This team, that Colts team will make you pay.
yes. My prediction, as always, I have my statistical predictions as well. Packers 20, Indy 17. Close game. Aaron Rodgers 225 and 2 passing touchdowns. Alan Lazard gets 75 plus and a touchdown in his return from IR. So I think it's a low scoring game. I think it's a close game. I don't think Aaron Rodgers lights it up. I think he can play turnover free, almost conservative type football. Like, he's 19 of 22 for 225 yards. But I don't expect many big plays out of this game. I think the pass rush from the Colts is good. I think they're good at covering, even with Xavier Rhodes. I'm unsure about Devontae Adams, so I'm leaving him off of my predictions. If you could tell me that he was 100% ready to go, maybe look a little bit different there. But
he was optimistic when he was talking to the media, I believe today. He was very optimistic. He's like, he expects to play, but he expected to play a few
the
weeks
last
ago.
game before coming off out.
Yeah. So we'll see what the Green Bay medical staff does with him. I think this is a big enough game where they're like, yeah, you're healthy enough. Or like I said, I think this was just a rest day. They just, they don't really say. They just show
you don't not participate at all just for a rest day. Even then, it's still you.
He was technically he came out and stretched with the team.
Yeah.
So
I'm not feeling good about it.
I'll stay optimistic for you, but my prediction again, I think it is a tight game. I went a little higher scoring than you. I went the Green Bay Packers 27, Indianapolis Colts 23. I think Rivers has a late turnover to seal the deal. I think it could come down to like what happened last week is just we need our defensive front to put the pressure on. And once Philip Rivers is put in that position to that he has to throw the ball, it's not the prettiest ball out of his hands. I think that's another key is to the game is if we pressure Philip Rivers even the slightest, we just got to get our hands up. The defensive line has to get their hands up. I am not a Philip Rivers fan whatsoever.
I think check down.
I think he just throws it really low to the offensive and defensive line. I think all you have to do is you're
not even that.
Yeah, you're like 6'7" or like 6'4" to however tall you are. Just put your hands up. You're probably going to hit the ball. So just one of my keys to the game: pressure Rivers, and Green Bay Packers will be victorious once again.
Yeah. So real quick before we sign off, there's one thing that you mentioned last week. I know you texted me during the game we were watching, and it was they missed Jair's aggressiveness. I think this is a game that he will be able to be aggressive, not just because, Adrian Amos is back, Darnell Savage is there, or excuse me, Kevin King is back, and we still have the two safeties. But Philip Rivers has a noodle arm. You can be aggressive, and especially if, let's say, Darnell Savage is on the side that Jair is playing, you have his speed to be able to make up for being aggressive and, let's say, cutting a short route. But their receivers aren't overly speedy.
Outside of what Ty,
and
he's not even. Old.
He's not even. They have no real burners. They have a lot of. Michael Pittman's a really good prospect. He's a bigger guy, but
they love their tight ends. So yes. That's going to be an interesting matchup to watch to see who's guarding who. Jack Doyle, Mo Alley Cox. Who else is there? Trey Burton. He got a rush attempt. So,
he has, I think, 2 or 3 rushing touchdowns on the year already.
Yeah.
So watch out for that on the goal line. But real quick, Brock, I know I like to throw out these quirky over-unders. Last week you went 1 for 1. Congratulations.
Hey.
Jameis Winston.
I really should have had that bet. I probably would have. I probably would have won a lot of money. You know.
Over under 0.5.
All right.
How many times and I believe it's Troy Aikman and Joe Buck on the call. How many times during the game do they bring up the fact that Phillip Rivers has 9 kids? Over under 0.5.
Well, that's over. I think they're probably going to have a visual montage graphic of it. Yeah, they're going to show them with half of them being the offensive line. So I'm sure it'll be something along those lines. So I'm definitely going to over on that.
All right, perfect. So with that being said, guys, check us out on Facebook at Jock Talk Show, on Twitter at Jock Talk Show. Like, subscribe, go check out our top 5 on Facebook. If you haven't watched already, check out our fantasy 6-pack as well as our locks and upsets of the week. But until next time, Brock, we'll talk to you later. And as always, go Pack,
go.